Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run through the land you run.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have Rushelle Frazier, and Rushelle is the president of the Worcester City Poetry Association. Where did I read about you? Did you make an appearance somewhere? Welcome.
Thank you.
I wonder where I saw it. It was probably in one of the Sunday papers.
Well, besides being the president of the Worcester County Poetry Association, I am also a host of a weekly reading called The Thirsty Verb, which is every Thursday at Rockies out in the Canal District. Mm-hmm. I also have organized shows and, just generally support the local poetry scene. So.
We have a guest who comes in from New York. When he stays in Boston, he comes down here. Mm-hmm. You must know him. God, I can't think of Jim. Can't think of his name. Wears a hat, kind of tall, very, very good at reading. He appeared at Barnes & Noble on Lincoln Street. He's a poet, and he writes all his own. He's had I don't know how many books out. So now, first of all, before we get into everybody else, how did you get into poetry, Rushelle?
Well, I was raised in a very literary family. I was lucky enough to have aunts and other relatives in my family that would read poetry to me growing up. So a lot of the Harlem Renaissance poets, a lot of Emily Dickinson, another New England writer, of course, who gets through elementary school without getting your Emily Dickinson in just a little bit. Yeah. Maya Angelou, certainly, and growing up in Worcester, I was supported by a bunch of really wonderful people. I could definitely name Tony Brown, the late Eleanor Wilmot, and Anne Marie Lucci as some of my local influencers. Yes. Yeah. People that supported me and tock me around to poetry readings in the area.
Oh, were you lucky to be?
Yes.
You had the right attention.
Mm-hmm. There's also the Macmillans at the now defunct Poets Asylum.
What happened to that?
Well, it went through the venue change. Mm-hmm. It went through a few venue changes. Now it is the Seven Hills Slam. Yes, and that takes place the second Tuesday of every month.
Well, Rushelle, when did you become the president of the Worcester City Poetry Association? I got it all.
Worcester County.
Worcester County, okay.
Mm-hmm. It was this past year.
Mm-hmm. Did you found it, or?
No, the WCPA was founded in 1971.
Oh,
so
way before. Okay.
Yes, definitely. And it's just, it's bloomed and flourished since then. And
you can tell you really enjoy it. Now, when you started writing your poetry, maybe by the time you were in high school, you must have already been a pro at it, right?
I don't know about a pro, but I definitely was hosting my first poetry readings in 2001, so I was about a junior in high school.
Did you go to college at all?
I attended UMass Amherst briefly, and decided that really, rather than get pulled under by debt before I even knew what I wanted to major in, that I wanted to travel. So I kind of moved on a whim to Savannah, Georgia, which has its own great literary tradition, Flannery O'Connor. But for me, I never wanted to shovel snow again. Teenage Rushelle did not want to shovel and wanted to move someplace where the weather was beautiful and the cost of living was a little bit lower.
How long did you stay there?
I was there for about 6 years.
Well, what made you come back up here?
Well, I hiked the AT. I hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2011.
You hiked the whole?
I did. I did everything except for 200 miles in between Irwin, Tennessee and Bland, Virginia.
What happened there?
It was the first week of December. It wasn't very pleasant in the Shenandoahs.
Did you write some poetry along the way?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the sort of thing that you're only going to do once and you're going to spend an exorbitant amount of money financing, then darn right you're going to sit on a rock and write a haiku, and you're going to eat this apple, and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to meet all the people that you possibly can.
Did you end up at the Mount Washington area in New Hampshire?
Yes, we did the White Mountains. It was wonderful.
And so you decided, I think I'll come back to New England?
Well, I after I hiked the AT, I was very interested in self-sufficiency, and had read a lot in various like shelters and like camp shelters. People leave books there.
I've
so
seen
you
them.
pick up the most random stuff, and so it was during one of those times that I was at a hostel and read a book on permaculture design. So and that just like opened up this entirely new world for me, thinking a lot about the ways that human, plant, and animal communities intersect. It's its own beauty.
Can you intersect your poetry with it too?
Yes, I do write a lot of nature poetry.
Yeah, we had a couple of things to cover. You had mentioned somebody received a very important award. What was
Yes, Carl Johnson just received the Stanley Kunitz.
Who is Carl Johnson?
Carl Johnson is he is just a heavy hitter in the Worcester poetry community. He's been around for much longer than I have. I definitely remember him being very encouraging to me as a teenager.
Yeah.
So it was really wonderful to see him.
Was it like a big award ceremony?
Yeah, it was in the Worcester Historical Museum.
Ooh. Where is that? Where is that? I know where the art museum is.
That is on Elm Street. I believe it's on Elm Street. It's like I know it's definitely facing Elm Street.
And did he know he was going to get the award?
Oh yes, he did.
Oh, he did. Did you study haiku in school? The form of poetry.
Yes.
What is it? It doesn't have to rhyme, but you can just like one couple words here and then do whatever you want.
5-7-5. So 5 syllables, then 7 syllables, then
I got a
another
kick out of
5.
it. My son's a poet. He's only 25. Doesn't believe he's that great. I think he's terrific. I can't encourage him.
Bring him
All
to
right, then
poetry reading.
Yeah, I know. I'd love to. And he lives in Worcester.
Wow.
If I could get him over there. By the way, when does it meet, the Poetry Association?
Well, the board meetings are the first Wednesday of the month, starting up again in September. We were on our summer break. And those are open for all members to attend. The board is all volunteer board. I believe we have something along the lines of 15 members on our board, I would like to say. Don't quote me. You're going to quote me.
Do you have a group? Like, do you have a meetup every month? So?
Yes, every month. And we're having it at Worcester State. I think that we're still finalizing a location for this next one.
So if you're interested in joining, how would they contact you?
Well, you'd go to the WCPA website.
And okay, how do they just do that?
Yeah, I would just search the WCPA website. I'm drawing a complete blank right now, Dan.
That's okay. That's okay. The Worcester City Poetry
Worcester
Association.
County Poetry Association.
Worcester County Poetry. I don't know why I was saying that should be pretty easy to find. Now, if you're interested in joining, you can look it up.
We also have a Facebook page.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on Facebook. Alrighty. So anybody interested in getting their poetry out there and rubbing elbows with other good poets, right? Now, you said somebody about Richard
Fox.
Okay.
He just recently won our annual poetry prize. So and Richard Fox again. We had a reading for him at Nick's last week.
Where's Nick's?
Nick's Worcester, which is also the site of another poetry reading. You should go to the website there for details, for their website, for programming information. But Nick's is on Water Street, I would like to say.
I'm trying to think, where's Water Street? I know where it is
it's in
Milford.
the Canal District.
Okay, all right. I know where Water Street is in Milford, but I can't picture it yet in my mind in Worcester.
It's also It's also the bar where the Rabbit Heart Poetry Film Festival will be taking place later this year.
What have I not heard? What, Rabbit Heart?
Rabbit Heart. It's North America's only poetry film festival, and it's happening right here in Worcester. There's there's a website for that, and there's also a Facebook page, I believe, and the person you'd want to talk to about that is Sue McMillan.
Okay, now we're talking with Rushelle Frazier, and she is the president of the Worcester County Poetry Association. Have you written any books yet?
I've published a few chapbooks. I've published 9 chapbooks. 2 of my most recent are still available for sale through Double Bunny Press.
Can you Double Bunny Press?
Yes.
Just Double Bunny.
Double Bunny, all one word, press.com.
.com. Amazon at all?
No, not Amazon.
Okay, Double Bunny. Are you speaking anywhere, giving presentations?
Well, Yes, actually. I will be reading at the Prudential Center on August 29th in their courtyard as part of their summer reading series with Martha Collins and Oliver Del Paz.
Are you going to be going up to the top? Doesn't it revolve? Isn't it a restaurant? I think I went there one time.
You know, I don't get out to Boston as much as I should.
I don't either, but I remember going up there on a date a while back, long ago, and I'm not crazy about going around, even subtly, without eating. But when I was trying to eat my meal, I went, whoa. I noticed that it was starting to move. I didn't know. One of my friends in college got her engagement ring at the top of the Pru.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's going around circles up there, but it didn't appeal. But I am so glad for you. Is this your first speaking engagement? Where you going?
It's my first one at the Prudential Center.
But you've been locally.
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
What's your favorite kind of poetry that you write?
Well, I write a lot of performance poetry, a lot of poetry for competition or slam poetry.
What's slam poetry?
Well, slam poetry is the competitive art of performance poetry. Poets go up against each other either individually or in teams with their best work under 3 minutes. And judges, randomly selected from the crowd, score the poets 0 to 10, Olympic style, 0 being the worst poem ever, 10 being the best poem ever, and the person with the highest score at the end of XYZ rounds wins.
What do they win anything in particular?
Sometimes it's a free beer, sometimes it's a high five, sometimes it's a place on at the individual World Poetry Slam. And just last night we had a tournament, and Jasmine Packard is the Worcester rep. So she's going to Spokane, Washington to represent good old Worcester, Massachusetts.
Now, okay, so have you been on both sides of the island there? You've been on the speaking and being judging and then being a judge?
Oh, yes.
Or what do you prefer?
I think they both have their thrills.
Yeah.
You know, just sitting down and tuning in, having sitting down and committing to tune into a whole night of poetry.
Yeah.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Oh.
You'd never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And so that's really exciting, just having that wide open awareness of you and the poet are having a connection, you and the audience are having a connection. It's really valuable.
I don't know which poetry book it was. It meets it. Well, it has presentation, whatever. That's where I went for this poetry. Not a slam, but a bunch of poets came over in the back of Barnes & Noble on Lincoln Street. I cannot think of the name of that poetry book.
It really is, I think it's just the Barnes & Noble reading hosted by Carl Johnson.
Okay.
That's regularly hosted by Carl Johnson.
Isn't he the one you told me just got the... Does he work at Barnes & Noble?
No. This is a labor of love for him, so...
Oh, and he's been probably doing it many, many years. Many, many, many. How many years do you think you've been actually writing poetry? Starting, when you were a kid, right?
When I was yes. So, I guess...
20?
I mean,
30, 20,
seriously,
15,
right?
20? Yeah.
You want me to tell the television my age?
No, because you could have been 3 and you could have started. You could have been 20 when you...
Well, I will say that I hosted my first poetry series, my first poetry readings when I was a junior in high school. So that was around 2001. So, and it's something that I've really kept up with no matter where I've lived. Yeah. So I've you could definitely say that a good 17, 18 years.
That is really good. Were you nervous when you did your first presentation?
I'm nervous after every presentation. I feel like the ones that you fall asleep for and sort of phone in, they aren't as good. And it's when you're really bringing your full self, which comes with its jitters because you're not overconfident and you do have that humility as well as the adrenaline kind of competing.
Do you have any of your poetry with you?
I do, actually.
Go for it. Would love to hear it.
I could do something short.
Good,
for sure.
Whatever you want to do. We have poetry, readings. Great. Again, we are talking with Rushelle Frazier, and she is the president of the Worcester County Poetry Association. Go ahead.
Okay. This is called the dial tone. Imagine the bar old phones go to really communicate. Do they practice saying to each other things they most like to relay? How late into the night do they stay whispering I love yous to each other? Can they recall long conversations of travel plans between faraway lovers until the sun comes up? Do they start every chat with details about the kids, catching up about health of career and car and pet? How much time do they spend talking about the ringing in their ears? Do phones have ears even? Or does all that machinery act more like heart tech, transferring joy and pain and jokes and calls out from work, a massive, unrelenting, connective muscle, unrelenting until affordably obsolete and abandoned for the next better thing? Do they just sit and breathe on the line, searching for something more than solid sigh, a whole body an instrument of grief, staring at each other, waiting for reception, a half-hearted pickup, a reassuring word that has meaning? I'm sure they are sick of all the times they've had to communicate "I'm sorry." I'm sure they wish, while trying to recharge, that they could have pushed a wider range of words while they had the ready vocab, that they did more than just throw the easy phrases around. I'm sure they wish they got to tell everyone the truth more.
Oh my God, when did you write that?
A couple of years ago. That's a little bit older.
How long does it take you to write a poem, generally?
Well, it doesn't take long to actually write it, but to finish it, it can take months.
It can take a while.
Yeah.
Now, that's one job. Do you do that, is that your career, or do you do something else too in the meantime?
Well, I'm a barista. That's what keeps the lights on.
A barista?
Yes.
No, what's that?
I make coffees.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, I know my favorite, and I'll plug them, is Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
Love Starbucks.
Wonderful.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I do that, but, really, poetry is my first love, and it's pretty much stayed that way. I'm also a herbalist and a landscape designer.
A landscape designer.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh, you're all multi-talents going all these different ways. How did you get into landscaping without studying it?
I did. Well, it's ecological garden design. So through permaculture, I got my certification in 2012.
So you can help, like say a person came to me who knows nothing about growing herbs. You could show me out back or whatever on our lawn how to set up a little herb garden.
Mm-hmm. Lots of herb spirals, lots of just talking about the ways that you would, like companion planting, things that grow better together, relationships that flourish in the plant communities. Lots of stuff like that without getting too far into it.
Very naturally oriented and all. We have here in Upton, forgive me, I can't remember the name of it. It's open to everybody in town. It's a town garden type of thing where anybody can come in and have a plot. It sounds awful, but anyway, you get a plot, right? And then you can plant whatever you want. It's quite popular. We've had them on the show a couple of times. I never got in on it. I haven't been down to see it. I've been by the entrance. I bet you'd love it because it's probably not all fruit or free and veggies. There's probably some herbs in there. Mm-hmm. And the people in the city, like in Worcester, I've lived there. Can you show somebody how to grow their herb garden out of their kitchen window?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is the beautiful thing about it is that it doesn't necessarily take a green thumb. It just takes the attention and the desire. In a lot of cases,
what if they don't have one of those that bump out window though? What if they don't have that?
Well, I mean, a lot of homes in Worcester are 3-decker apartments, and those have patios and patios that get sunshine.
Start small, right?
Some great people to contact for community garden spaces and opportunities and education in Worcester is the Regional Environmental Council. Mm-hmm. I worked for them last summer on their mobile farmers market, and let me tell you, it was such a wonderful program. They have a converted school bus outfitted with coolers and freezers, and what they do is stop 4 times a day. They'll stop at subsidized housing and senior community centers and stuff like that, selling super local organic produce
at a good price.
At really great prices, accepting SNAP and EBT.
Why not? Why don't
working with communities?
They do accept the EBT?
Oh, they do.
Oh, okay. That's
oh, they certainly do.
I know that I've visited a what do you call it, a farmer's market. Not in Upton, but another local town. And I thought I'd read that they took SNAP for people, and I'm thinking, just out of curiosity, don't you take SNAP? And she goes, no. Like, what you're doing is you're eliminating a good part of the population that need to have, they need to have this too to be healthy.
Yeah, organic food should not be a luxury.
No, it's not even a privilege. It's
a right. It is a human right.
It is a right. And if you don't have the area, in your yard, or you're living in the depth of the city, you don't have a place to grow it yourself. But you've got Rushelle. Rushelle, now we've got 2 or 3 ways for people to reach you through the Worcester County Poet Poetry Association. You're also great at the, what did you call it? The setting up of garden.
Permaculture garden design.
How can people reach you?
Well, I have an artist page through Facebook, so Rushelle Frazier artist page. That would be one way to reach me.
Yeah.
I also periodically host herbal workshops.
Where did you have those?
Well, the locations vary.
All over the area?
Yeah.
Do you ever go to the libraries and give presentations, like Worcester, the big Worcester Library?
No, I haven't done that yet.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I can see so many places that you could be. Really.
Mhm.
This is, I think this is more than just a trend. People are going to be growing more and more of their own things, but they don't know how. I mean, I'm a novice. I guess you go to what? Go to the store. Is this it? You just buy, there's tomato seeds. You dig a little hole and put them in? Is that it? What do you do?
Well,
is that all? No?
I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
That's definitely in the permaculture book. It depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jan, can we get back to poetry? I'm sorry.
We're going right back again.
Okay.
So we've gone from permaculture and the gardens. Now we're going back to the poetry. And your favorite type, you don't really have a favorite type of poetry. I think you go with what you're feeling.
Yeah, I don't stick to a form or anything like that. I'm definitely
You just do it.
Yeah.
Do you carry your journal with you all the time?
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's good.
Fairly
Do people
often.
know how good you are at it? Do you get the word out?
I hope so. Really, I'm here for community. If it weren't for the local poetry community, it makes up a good number of some of the best people I know. I definitely have them to thank. So really just paying it forward, getting involved with the youth. Like there's last year anyway, I don't know about this season because obviously we're in summer. Last year there were 4 youth poetry slam teams.
How old are the youth?
Teenagers.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
like 12 to 18 or 19, I believe, is the cutoff point.
Yeah.
But if you or anyone you know has a young person that's interested in poetry, another place to seek out would be Louder Than a Bomb.
Louder Than a Bomb?
Yeah, that's the name of the regional poetry, youth poetry competition.
So anyways, you have your finger on a lot of different places. Like I said, I have a son who writes wonderful poetry, but I can't seem to get, I've never seen anything like it.
The wonderful thing about poetry in Worcester is that there's something for everyone. On Monday nights, every Monday night, you wouldn't think about going out, most people, out of their 20s, but the Dirty Gerund Poetry Show happens every Monday night.
The Dirty Germ?
Gerund.
The Gerund, okay.
Yeah, the Dirty Gerund Poetry Show.
Yeah.
Happens every Monday night at Ralph's Rock Diner. The hosts are Alex Harlan-Beatties and Nick Davis, and there's a live band backing you up if you choose. It's wonderful. Sometimes there's a trombonist there and
to back up while they read poetry?
a drummer, a guitarist, somebody in like a brass or.
How do they know when to kick in and not interrupt you?
They are some masters of improv, those cats, for sure.
And you've done it with them.
Yes.
And it doesn't make you nervous that they're in the background waiting to hit some instrument.
I mean, no, you grow into it.
Yeah.
It wasn't always my cup of tea, but I love it there. So
Okay, it's called the
It's
the
called
Dirty
the
Gerard.
Dirty Gerund.
Gerund, and it
Yeah.
meets when?
Monday nights at Ralph's Rock Diner on Grove Street in Worcester.
Well, if you live in Worcester, especially, well, this is a good area, Worcester County.
Yes.
I mean, you could come over there. Is there a particular age group that you're going to have your setup of your monthly meetings, get-togethers?
The Thirsty Verb, that is all ages. It's at Rocky's Bar and Grill, so accompanied minors can participate for sure.
Is there a place called the Thirsty Lab?
The Thirsty Lab, that is Susan Roney O'Brien's reading,
Yes.
and forgive me.
That's how I heard
really-
about it through that gentleman that's on a lot with us. The Thirsty Lab. Is that in this part of the state or up in the Boston area?
Oh, it's nearby.
Okay, no wonder when he comes in from New York City, gosh, forgive me, Jim, but and he comes in from Boston, he comes down here, it's very, very good. He's dramatic. He's like you, he knows exactly how to, when you read your poetry, how to read it and stop and then put some more feeling into it. You've got it down pat.
Thank you.
You really, really do. Your parents must be so proud of you.
My mother is, yes, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Was she ever into poetry?
Yeah, she wrote a lot. Actually, before she was pregnant with me, she wrote a lot.
She did. Are you the oldest?
I am an only child.
So is my son. Oh, you're very talented. Often they say only children are very precocious. Very. And their verbal skills are ahead of their peers. And they don't always make best friends with their peers, their own age group. Very often they get along much better with people older or younger.
You're talking about my life right now.
Yeah. Well, I grew up almost an only. I was the youngest of two onlys, almost a generation apart. So I know I've got a little bit of those traits too. And I found growing up, I was expressing myself maybe too grown up for the other kids. I don't know. But I grew up with the adults.
I am so glad those days are behind me. I grew up with a bunch of my cousins. I was the oldest of my cousins, so I was pretty much the built-in babysitter.
Yeah.
So, I think that definitely has helped me relate to a lot more people in my age group for certain. But
in college, did you meet a lot of other kids who were interested in? I never met somebody who was interested in poetry. I majored in art, but I didn't meet anybody. I wish I had who was interested in poetry. I might have gotten interested in it too. I don't think you're ever too old to start.
Yes. No, it's not.
So all age groups are welcome.
Yes, definitely welcome.
Yeah. And okay, so again, when are they going to meet? You're going to set this up?
The Thirsty Word happens every Thursday. The Worcester County Poetry Association meets the first Wednesday of every month. And there are a plethora of listings on the WCPA website. Okay. So
they can keep track of where and
you can
when.
keep track. You can just plug it right in to your calendar.
Is there a contact? Sometimes I get frustrated because there's no contact button.
There is a contact button.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so they can do that. Rushelle, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm still trying to think how I found out I met you. You were listed. Something was listed in the Sunday. They have events. It must have been there because I don't think there was a private article about it. I don't think so because I read a lot of the local. I think that's how I heard about you. And I said we've got to get her on. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Next time, bring some of your book that you do that you've written.
I have some more poems. I was just going to read the one because I didn't know how much time we had.
Let's end on a poem. Grab a poem.
Okay.
And we're going to end with one of her great poems. That would be wonderful. We'll have you back with some more too.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be excellent. Go for it.
All right.
Rushelle Frazier. I will get that. President of the Worcester County Poetry Association. She has a lot of poetry. Through them all. Just pick one of them.
Yeah, I just wanted to... I'm sorry, Jen. Pardon me.
She says everybody of any age is welcome to come. In the group.
I'm going to try to pull one off my head. I love you. I love you. I still love you, and I wish I could fill a page saying just that. Omitting all the double positives I've learned these past few months to omit the obvious negative space growing behind my tongue and weighing down the lead that used to dance unstaged across sheets. I love you, and I tried to hold it down for us, but in the end I will always love my shoulders more. Muscles relax as we speak. The truth is, I fell into the weight of your attentions and mistook the change in air for falling. Fully intended an extended attempt to live off your adoration and dependence, thought I could take pleasure in the strain to make our faults balance out, but somewhere I overdrafted on patience. Now all I feel is the fatigue of the same feedback I got the first time around. No new dimensions to the introductions I heard 365 times 2 minus 60 days earlier. The only thing that adds up is my frustration with our math. Tired of feeling like I heal every time my nature shows, I discovered long ago I was created lioness. But for you, I played the house cat because I wanted to want to be wanted. Hungry for meat, insisting on kibble, Nibbling at scraps when I felt more entitled to feasts, I watered down my intensity and called myself creating at lower volumes and editing out entire tracks because I didn't think you could handle the content. Content with leaving well enough alone, I would go for weeks without writing because I was afraid of what might show up. That I'd start to drop stuff I've had to clean up later. Spending away money on alcohol to kill more honest remarks that would otherwise spread across my face like a cancer because I care about you that much. The bed in which we made love last serving dual purpose as its burial ground. Last night I slept like a rock. Tonight I predict much the same. Unhappy, I feel happier already. The part of me that's still your pet wants to highlight this sorrow for the pain I've caused you. Wants to make you a mixtape replaying the good times I already miss. The things that made me like you best, and maybe I might. But you wouldn't get it. Most likely label me with a title I wouldn't deserve when all I wanted to do, all I ever wanted to do was to be honest with you for the rest of my life.
Oh, poet.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rushelle. We'll see you next time I'll be my guest.